Um, Here we go. My name is Dhyan Nirmegh, and I'm from Starksboro, Vermont, and I'm the co-author of the booklet, Impacts of Industrial Wind Development on Wildlife and Ridgeline Habitat. The photos that I'm submitting today are taken by Roger Irwin of Maidstone and Shirley Nelson of Lowell, Vermont. And I'm sort of going to go off the line of how I'm going to speak. I gave the board copies of all the research on the studies that I did. These are all the different studies. I'm not an expert on anything, but try to learn all I can about it. But I'm going to talk about some other things. First of all, I want to say something about standards. I know that in the 1970s, the standards in Lake Champlain for the toxic levels of mercury in fish were set at a certain level. My friend did all the research on how much mercury was in fish in Lake Champlain, and he refused to eat the fish. And since then, in the 80s or so, the mercury levels went up, I do believe, and because we want people to come here economically to enjoy Lake Champlain and to fish. We don't want them to be scared away about eating fish. Also, the toxicity level of a Russian electromagnetic waves in Russia was 1/10 of what our toxicity level was in America. Since then, our toxicity level of electromagnetic waves has risen further up because we have thousands of cell phones and computers and everything else, and they say that we can deal with it. This is first slide, please. We all learn about the ear when we are in grade school or high school. We know our hearing is sensitive. Our ears are shaped so that it amplifies sound. The sound is pulled into our external ear canal. The sound comes to the eardrum where vibration is caused to the middle ear bones, the malleus, the incus, and the stapes, or the hammer, the anthill, and the stirrup. It goes into the cochlea where the sensitive hairs are within. This area right here. And right where the point in is the area for balance. There's all kinds of little things going on in there. But there's sensitive hairs within. These hairs start dancing, and they throw an impulse up the auditory nerve to our brain, and it tells us exactly what's happening. With animals, it's basically the same. But I hardly know a human being that hasn't been sensitive about their ears at some time. Ears are too big or they're too little. They're stuck in or stuck out. They don't fit on our head or fit our vanity. But man, we need those ears. We have to have them. Each one of us needs them. To run or walk straight, we need ears. Without them and their extreme sensitivity, we would not have survived as a species. Each animal species has specialized hearing adaptations, and that has allowed them to survive in their environments. Not all of these adaptations are understood. The next slide, please. Oh, okay. Well, you've got the little box here. Next slide. As you see, the moose has very large ears. Sometimes these ears are 20 to 30 times the size of a human's ears. And they're very sensitive. They can hear for long ways. They amplify the sound. The moose, the bull moose, next slide please, has large antlers. This antler was found in Bloomfield a few years ago, but have done research now that when on the head of a moose with his ear, he can articulate his ears back and forth like this, and he takes the sound coming off the soundboard, and the hearing is enhanced by 19%. That's an adaptation. He can hear receptive cows, he knows where his rivals are, and he can go meet the challenge. He gives the biggest bulls with the biggest antlers the advantage over the small ones. Recently, I went to Sheffield to the Terrians to visit and stay overnight in the woods near the turbines. We sat and talked for 2 hours with the constant hum of the turbines following through the woods to their table. Apparently to them it was a good day. No wind, but there was constant noise. We were 3/4 of a mile away. By the end of 2 hours, my head was noticeably full. And I wanted to get going. I wanted to get up to where the towers were. In the winter, through the leafless trees, 14 turbines can be seen by them in the surrounding mountain. The sound comes down the valleys to their homes. It was funneled right in there. They can sit there on some days, and the decibels reach 60 decibels. He has recorded 60 decibels. The state or the company has measured the sound at their house for a total of 3 days, and said it was within safe limits. At 6 p.m., we walked up through through Meadows End. Meadows End, who owns Sheffield, owns the land that abuts the Terrians, and there is 6 or 7 clear-cut strips through the woods that goes to the towers, and there's nothing on these ground except chipped up wood. For a mile, I saw no ground squirrels, no chipmunks, no mice, no voles, no raptors, no ravens, no raccoon tracks in the mud. I did see moose, I did see deer tracks, moose tracks, deer tracks, and coyote tracks. Those are animals that can move in and out of the area at ease. They can get out into the sound area to feed, or if it's a light day, they can feed in that area, and then they can leave into a quieter area. A bull moose grows an antler every year. That antler is grown every year. The antler can grow up to 2 centimeters a day. Its growth is stimulated by the pituitary gland, which is set inside your brain. There is also the hypothalamus gland that is also in here. It's about halfway inside your head. The growth is stimulated by the pituitary gland. If you blindfold a deer, his eyes, his antlers will not grow, or they'll grow very, very rudimentary. So if you blindfolded a moose before the season started where his antlers are going to grow, and you kept them completely in the dark, he would not grow. What I found on this trip up to Sheffield is that I had severe pain in the back, in the middle of my head, and it resonated there most of the night. I wonder how the sound would feel reverberating off his antlers, and I wondered how infrasound affects the pituitary gland when his antlers are growing. Below the large clear-cut just at the top of the ridge before the line of turbines is a beaver pond that is no longer in use. The water is gone. There is no community there. There is no beaver there anymore. There's just no water. Two slides further, please. Beavers have acute hearing. They're adapted to hear on land and equally well underwater. Their adaptation is formed of large cochlea, abnormally large for their head. Underwater, flaps protect their ears, so they close up as they're underwater. They are an indicator of a healthy, diverse biome. I did hear some hermit thrushes, but mostly I heard a variety of wind turbine sounds the whole way. We set up camp, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. I looked at my watch at midnight. There was no wind whatsoever. There was no rustling of any leaf, and yet turbines were going to the right, and the ones in front were turned off, and turbines were going on the left, and then on the left were turned off, and then right would go. But all night you would hear every type of sound under the sun. The one sound that I remembered that was really high-pitched was like a edger in a sawmill. When you put a board in the edger in a sawmill, there is a significant level of noise that is heard, like a screaming, and then it stops. And you would hear that for 5 seconds over here, and 5 seconds over here, and 5 seconds over here. All night long you'd hear that extra sound. Anytime the turbines turned, it would sound like a thunder would roll. So you'd hear thunder too. Whoosh, thunder, everything. And I tried to put my hand over my ears and stop the sound because I was actually getting really agitated. I was very agitated. And it doesn't stop it. It goes right through your head. It is the weirdest thing. You can stop sound when you're in your bedroom by putting pillows over your head, but when you're near these wind facilities, you can't stop the sound. When I woke up in the morning, all the turbines were going. There was just a teeny slight breeze. All of them were going. And then as soon as all of them were going, there was no breeze whatsoever. There wasn't even a leaf rustling. So I'm just wondering if a lot of them were turned on by generators and left on. When we walked up to the turbines, you could feel all the turbulence in the world. Amongst all the turbines is, on 2 of the turbines, is massive log rock going across one of the clear cuts. Here, I have read studies on Listano horses in Portugal that are near wind turbines, and their ankles are bent from too much calcium being secreted. And I've read studies on infrasound on rats that have cardio problems. I've read infrasound sounds on humans from Portugal that have heart attacks. I've read studies on geese near turbines in England, low weight, aggressive behavior. Studies on cows in Canada from stray voltage and ground vibration cause ankle deformities from, again, cortisol being, pumped in their body. Studies on the American marten from New Hampshire. That's the only study that I know has been done in New Hampshire or Vermont post of building these wind turbines. We've had one study on wildlife whatsoever since we've been building these wind turbines. I read a study on gastric lesions. Some of these studies are done in China. What I'm saying is that if we have all these studies that are happening, what is happening to the ground animals in their dens? their big animals are having calcium problems, being secreted in their body at a high rate. What is happening to the animals in their dens? We don't know. I didn't see any. We have a lot, we have the capacity, we have the manpower with our universities and colleges in the state of Vermont to do these studies. We've had these wind towers for 2 years. Let's do the studies. Let's find out more about wildlife, and let's take care of our people that are in trouble. By the time I got back, I met Steve at his house, and he was agitated again. He had a rough night sleeping. He said he got up in the middle of the night, came out, wanted to enjoy the evening, and you could hear the turbines. When I got back to his house, I could still hear the turbines. So anyway, that's my report. And I hope that you can read what I wrote about. I just want to expose you a little bit to what's happening in the animal world, because we don't talk about it that much. Thank you very much.